Welcome, Scorpio Rising, Sun or Moon. Please listen to your rising sign first, as this will give you the most accurate placement in the forecast. Now let's have a look at Pluto in Capricorn. Pluto has been in Capricorn since 2008 and will be here until 2023 in your third house. Now, usually Pluto, when it enters an area of your chart, like this third house, it will completely transform this area. Sometimes it starts by breaking this area down first and then building it up again. And there's some kind of death and rebirth that happens in this house in your chart. Now, your way of communication might have completely shifted or transformed in some way since 2008 up until now. This is an extremely potent house for you in 2022 and 2023, as this is also the house where Mars, Venus, and Pluto will connect in March. It's also the house where Venus will retrograde conjunct Pluto. And Venus is also the ruler of the North Node in Taurus this coming year with the nodal shifts, as well as Mars, the ruler of the South Node of Scorpio, your chart ruler. So there are pivotal shifts for you this year, as well as this house in particular you want to keep an eye on. But sometimes with Pluto here, your communications can take on a heavier tone. Your daily events can be quite significant to you. There's more of an intensity to it. It's more powerful, and there's great changes happening for you on the inside by things happening in your daily environment, in your immediate environment, your neighbors, your friends, your online connections, your siblings, your relatives, and the people of your everyday life. It can also be sometimes that ideas you have held to be true in the past could be undermining your life at this time. And you might become a lot more enlightened during this Pluto transit through your third house, especially as Pluto will be reaching critical degrees in 2022 before it moves into Aquarius. So there will be more of an intensity here. It may be that it's been hard for you to communicate with others, and at this time you are really transforming the way you communicate and how you share your truest, deepest feelings with others. It's important now to not take things for granted. There can be repressed psychological issues that arise with Pluto here, especially reaching intense degrees. So just remember that this is quite normal for a Pluto transit here, and this gives you opportunity to really address these issues and to let go of habits and patterns and belief systems and mindsets and in the box thinking that you need, that doesn't serve you anymore, and to be willing to purge and transform that. But there can be changes in your environment, a lot of, deeply moving changes. There can be powerful people that you deal with at this time, as well as you might have a powerful impact on others or others on you and on your mind at this time. There can also be death in some cases in regards to relatives or something permanently changing also in your environment, or how you decision make, or how you how you, for example, move around in your neighborhood, or even how you feel about your neighborhood. And then Neptune will be in Pisces in your 5th house, and has been here since 2011, 2012, and will be here until 2025. Now, Neptune in the 5th house also brings in more spiritual attunement. It can be also that your children could be going through a more spiritual attunement at this time. Sometimes it can be difficult with Neptune in this area in maybe finding a partner, or it might be harder dating if you're not in a committed relationship, simply because with Neptune here, and this already being a Piscean house that it rules, you can have very high expectations from partners or potential partners, so much so that you are turning people away that could be a wonderful fit. It's just that you're being too picky, and you know, they either have to have this, or you're not interested. And so it can be a bit harder for you to find suitors with Neptune here for some. In other cases, this could also bring in a really more of a romantic nature for you in your love relationships in general. It can also mean that you're spending more of your free time in beautiful places, or relaxing and maybe by a stream, or making music creatively. This can be a wonderful fantasy placement. But you are more interested now in a spiritual connection when you are meeting new potential partners. And it can also be the other way around, where you can sort of idealize someone, where, you know, you're kind of, you know, lifting them up above you at this time, or vice versa. Sometimes this can indicate a lover that has an alcohol issue that you're also trying to transform. It can sometimes bring in difficulty in relating as equals with a partner with Neptune here. It's important to avoid risky and financial ventures or speculation, and to not spend money on frivolous things with Neptune here. Because sometimes with Neptune here, you can have this illusion that you are above it all and you can't lose. And then you could lose big. There can be difficulty in your relationships, maybe with children at this time, or some confusion, or some hidden matters, or a child that may be using drugs or alcohol, or that's depressed, or that could be stealing, or or just a child that's going through a period of apathy or laziness. And it can be harder to get along or understand them. Like there's a lot of misunderstandings or confusion, or just you're not talking or they're not talking, like there's sort of a stillness. It can feel like you're kind of losing them, or they can feel like they're kind of losing you. In some cases, this can indicate illnesses with children. It's also important to not idealize kids. But this is wonderful for creativity and for art and for the imagination and film and music and beauty. And but it can, like I said, give you that unrealistic view in regards to relationships, even with your children. And this can keep you feeling very alone. And then Uranus in Taurus is in your 7th house and has been here since 2018 and will be here till 2026. And Uranus in Taurus brings practical innovations. It brings utilitarian purposes to changes. It likes the use of material resources. Sometimes Uranus in this area, this is your 7th house of close one-on-one relationships with a partner or a business partner or the public or anyone in opposition of you. But close one-on-one relationships can go through disruptions. It can bring up conflicts. And it can also sometimes bring in the end of a partnership, especially if maybe the relationship has already been sort of on the rocks and maybe you've just been staying together for the children or because of circumstances or because of financial situations. And then Uranus comes in here and just, says this is where it's ending. And especially with this square to Uranus and the nodes moving into Taurus and Scorpio, these kinds of issues tend to kind of get shaken up until they finally shake out or completely reinvent themselves to be something exciting and new, but still the same at essence level. If this is a partnership that you are very secure in, then it will last through the shakeups of Uranus. Maybe you are just creating some more inventive ways to keep things exciting. But there will usually be changes in relationships here. It can also bring in new relationships with unusual people that you're maybe never normally would have gone for. It can also be a time where you want to escape your daily routine or the old ways of doing things. It can also indicate just an unstable love affair, and it can bring in conflicts with others. It can bring in disruptive legal matters. You can, on an unconscious level, be sending out vibes that you want freedom, that you want more, you want to break free in some kind of agreement or relationship. And if you resist this change, it can increase the violence of the transit. So you're better to follow the signals and to start loosening your grip in this area, to sort of to make things more flexible, start making adjustments and changes and modifying things. Otherwise, the changes can be more traumatic and more uncomfortable as you go through them. But you will learn and grow from this and allow what needs to leave your life right now to leave before it becomes sort of unbearable. And Saturn will be in Aquarius and has been since 2020 December and will be here till 2023. And this is in your 4th house of Aquarius. And Saturn in Aquarius brings more personal detachment, more objective viewpoints and perspectives. You approach things more differently and in a more rational, unemotional way. You can, this transit can indicate a focus on your innermost personal life, your domestic situation, your emotions, and your family life with relationship with parents and so forth needs work. So it can mean that you need to deal with things or even put up with certain things at this time. It's important to reorganize and simplify and make things practical in the home during this time. Maybe reshuffle things. Your home can sometimes become a burden or feel like a burden at this time, maybe in regards to repairs or responsibilities connected to it. You can also, in some cases, have to maybe become a parent to someone or take someone in at this time. But this is a time where you'll be doing the inner work now, leading to building greater success later on in life. And during Saturn's transit here, you're really clearing up issues from the past on a subconscious level as well. So you can also deal with a lot of emotional sadness or separation from home, or separation from a parent, or separation from maybe your roots in some way, your homeland. But if you don't work on the psychological and emotional issues from the past and dealing with forgiveness and so forth now, then these issues can really start coming out in a negative way in the next 14 years. So you want to make sure that you are transmuting this, working with it, and healing and forgiving. Especially anything that you are building in your life as well, for yourself. Any obstacles that you face at this time, because this is an angular house, so it affects a lot of your life. Most of your life will be affected by what's happening here. And if you don't do the work now, then it can oppose you later on, when you are sort of at the point in your life where you want to reap the rewards and, get a good harvest. So yes, put in the work and it will pay off for you for sure. Sometimes this can indicate just being worried about a home, or worried about a parent, or that there's worries, maybe some hardship of some kind during that transit. And then Jupiter will be in Pisces as we enter the year. And this is in your 5th house. And Jupiter will be here until the 10th of May, when it'll ingress Aries in your 6th house. And Jupiter will retrograde on the 28th of July and make its way into Pisces October 28th, where it will station direct in November and re-enter Aries on the 20th of December 2022. So it'll basically be about 6 months in both Pisces and Aries during 2022. Now, while it's in your 5th house, your self-expression takes a leap of growth forward. You can much easily be your authentic self around others, and you're not worried if the real you is applauded or not. So this really goes hand in hand for me with that Pluto entering intensity in your 3rd house. So this is really about your communication and your expression and coming out of your shell. Your creativity can increase greatly in any new love relationship or relationships with children, and most people improve considerably due to the truth in action experienced here. If you have children, they may achieve something you're very proud of, or a healing can take place in some cases in this area. In some cases, this can indicate a birth or a pregnancy. In some cases, this can indicate travel for fun or involving children in some way, time with children. New relationships in love could involve a foreigner or someone very different from you, through whom you can learn a great deal, someone wise, or this can play out the other way where you are that for the other person. It's important to not take overly insane risks with gambling or risk-taking in general with Jupiter here. But overall, you'll be ready for much more individual freedom, having fun in new ways, being in beautiful places, experiencing joy and optimism. So there can also be a lot of growth here in creative projects such as self-employment or side jobs that you are doing to help you out at this time. Or you can even get some kind of recognition for a creative project. And then Jupiter will be in Aries in your 6th house. And while Jupiter is here, your work and responsibilities satisfy a certain amount of your ego needs, and you may find it much more enjoyable and fulfilling. And benefits such as a promotion or better pay or even just a better actual environment or people around you can improve. Your life has more purpose and structure with this transit, and in some cases it can signify dealing with foreign travel or foreign matters or foreign co-workers or tenants or people that speak another language. Jupiter here can significantly improve your health and vitality. So if you've been struggling with some kind of health issue, Jupiter can definitely assist here. In some cases, weight gain can occur with Jupiter here. So be especially careful with sweets and alcohol, and take care of your liver and pancreas during this time. Jupiter also can bring growth and promotions. And in some cases, some health conditions can grow in size with Jupiter here, depending on whether other aspects and cycles are supporting this. So this is just also a warning to keep an eye out on these areas. Therefore, avoid overindulgence and choose foods that are good for you and keep your body alkaline as well. And then Mars will be in Sagittarius as we start the year to ingress Capricorn on the 24th of January. And Mars in Capricorn will be in your 3rd house. And again, like I've mentioned, this is an important house for you, this 3rd house throughout the year. And Mars is exalted here and increases worldly ambition to achieve. And it's more well organized, it likes regulated action and practical results. It can also sometimes bring in a more prudish sex drive for some. Your mental development is affected with Mars here, so you're very much busy developing on a mental level. Your short journeys can be more. You could be thinking of buying a new vehicle or doing a new route to work. Mars here can indicate accidents for some, so be cautious. Conflicts with relatives can come up. But in all, you are more busy in your neighborhood, or your neighborhood is busier than usual. There can be issues in regards to education. Maybe you're starting a new course, or maybe you're starting to work online. There are changes in communication. Maybe you're learning a new language. There can also be more of a tendency to fight for your beliefs and be willing to debate. Harsh words can occur with Mars here. Or people's opinions can maybe feel like a personal attack. This can sometimes indicate the illness of a relative or a journey connected to illness. This can sometimes indicate studying some kind of healing modality, or even mental illness or disturbances, or a lot of worry with this transit. But a busy everyday life, there's danger for conflict on everyday life with possibly friends, neighbors, relatives. siblings. But it's very good for you to work on something together with these groups I've just mentioned. It's great for selling things. It's great for a lot of hard mental work. But again, you are more accident prone, so be aware of that. And then Mars will conjunct Pluto, and this will be on the 3rd of March in your 3rd house at 27 degrees, near its 28th degree of exaltation here. And with this conjunction, you can be more tempted to take control of whatever is happening around you. This can stimulate ambition, but it can also bring a violent, disruptive, conflicted, driven, ruthless energy. And this can be, directed at you or from you. So it's important to be aware of this and to stay and avoid danger or dangerous people or any situation where you could possibly be a victim of some kind. It's great for making changes or doing heavy amounts of work. You can possibly gain power in some way with this transit. Make sure that you are not using it selfishly or abusing your power. In some cases, this can bring injury or accidents to a parent. This can also sometimes deal with death in the area of either relatives, siblings, friends, or neighbors. Sometimes business or trade in regards to issues connected to death. There can be inheritances, rises, and higher positions reached as well. But there's definitely changes and sort of a something ending and beginning with this conjunction. So there could be maybe some relationship or a way of communication or something online or some skill here that you are finishing or you're changing permanently. And then Mars will enter Aquarius on the 6th of March in your 4th house, and this will also trigger the last bit, or let's just say the Saturn-Uranus intensity of 2021, which we are also having in 2022. And this is the past versus the future, the old versus the new, restriction versus freedom, with Saturn and Uranus squaring. And you might have been feeling this quite heavily in your 7th and 4th houses to some degree in the last while, in regards to maybe a business partner or a spouse, and your home or your love life and a parent, or your past and a partner, your home and a partner, maybe issues with the law and property, or your roots and home and the law, contracts in regards to property, your home, your roots, and so forth, and childhood, past emotional issues, and your innermost emotional feelings and relationships and home. And this can also be connected to a parent, like I said. Now with Mars in Aquarius, there's flair for innovation, doing things in an original way, in a unique way. Mars wants freedom of action here. It can be more sexually cool in this energy, more unemotional. Sometimes Mars here can indicate illness of a father or of yourself. Sometimes there can be conflict at home with a parent, with Mars in the 4th, or just conflict in general with those you live with. There can be gain through inheritance, possessions, lands, mines, or just activity in regards to that. Also in regards to a parent. Mars here can stir up unconscious childhood behavior patterns from the past. and it can cause you to act inappropriately. So this is an opportune time to kind of grab it by the horns and sort it out and let go of what no longer serves you, and deal with the pain, deal with the emotions, and forgive and go through the healing. So this can be uncomfortable for some. It can also bring even fighting with people about things you don't even understand. But other people might not like to deal with you at this time that you're living with. Sometimes Mars can indicate a lot of work on the home or at home or renovations. Sometimes it can bring accidents, but it can also bring in a very selfish tendency and just wanting things your own way. So it brings domestic strife. And sometimes this transit can make people want to rather live on their own, or to spend more time by themselves. It can also indicate dispute over land and use of land. It can bring strife with parents or difficulties with parents, hurdles. It can be a good time to kind of keep a low profile at work, because you can deal with a lot of opposition or blockage from work in some way. And just be careful also working with machinery, knives, and so forth, in order not to avoid dangerous situations or accidents at this time. Did I mention it can also sometimes indicate just working from home? And then Mars will also conjunct Saturn on the 4th and 5th of April at 22 degrees of Aquarius. And this can be a difficult transit for some people. It can be frustrating, irritating. It's important to not do anything risky during this time. You can maybe feel like you have less energy with this transit, or feel angry without being able to express it. So this is a good time to physically work out and get rid of the excess tension and stress. This is great though for working on something that requires heavy concentration or really detailed, careful technique. Be cautious again, like I've said, with machinery, cutting tools, weapons, steel and iron, and so forth. But this can also be a great catalyst, and also as Mars will be squaring Uranus, in making changes or breaking free from limitations in this area of your life, or an area of your life where you feel suffocating, or like you're not being able to be yourself or be free to do things your own way, or express your authenticity. But this can bring up a very rebellious and impulsive action, which can also get you in trouble with authority figures, and can also incur injuries or accidents with this. So you want to slow down, and you want to think before you act, and ask yourself, can I be myself in this area? But this is a time where you want to recognize the signs and start creating the changes in this area of your life, adjusting things, modifying it, loosening your grip, changing the way you do things to reinvent it or end it completely before the universe does it for you, and then it could be more painful or traumatic. And remember that new challenges require new solutions. And then Mars will be in Pisces from the 15th of April in your 5th house. And this is just after the Jupiter-Neptune conjunction on the 12th of April. Now, during Mars's transit here, you could feel a lack of motivation or confidence. And it's better for Mars here to work or to function under clear direction and in a more quiet atmosphere if it wants to be productive. You could also feel that during this time you might be a bit more affectionate and more move more towards romantic love at this time. Mars here can also sometimes indicate pregnancy or sex, or a new partner coming in or a new relationship starting. But there can be more pleasure, fun, sport activities, activities with children. Sometimes there can be an injury with a child, or illness through overindulgence. It's also important to be cautious in speculation and how you spend your money here. And children can also be more accident prone, or there can be more conflicts with children at this time. So be aware of that. Mars here can make you want to express yourself more and demand to be yourself, to be free. Like I said, there can sometimes be more conflict with children, or your children can be very busy. But this is wonderful energy for creative arts, for working on self-employment endeavors. It's great for sport. Your desire for love is stronger with Mars here. But you can lack discipline in the sense of responsibilities here. Like you're more inclined to want to have fun than do your work at this time. This is also a time where you will be investigating your needs versus others and weighing that out, and focusing more on joy and how to be more present is very important here and in the moment, especially with children. Letting go more and really realizing and acting upon that which gives you joy, which can also bring a lot of healing to the table. And then Mars will also conjunct Neptune on the 17th of May at 24 degrees of Pisces. And with Mars here, we can experience strange feelings. We can be more irritable or feel more discouraged or unable to do what we normally would like to, or we can feel somehow inferior by not reaching goals, or feel somehow useless in a way. And so this is also important to also be aware that we could be sort of a bit more in like a fantasy or confused about something, and be caught up in some kind of delusion. So you want to not be taken for a ride here, especially also in love and in speculation. And avoid drugs or alcohol or unhealthy escapism techniques at this time, as this can also be an aspect of overdosing. Don't start anything new because it can end in disappointment. But this is a great energy for serving others, or volunteering time, or spending time in a hospital, or giving to charity. But this can also sometimes indicate injury leading to being hospitalized for some. But it's important now to listen to your body, to rest, to not push your body too hard. You could have a lot more lower energy than normal. And it's normal with this transit to also maybe have a lower sex drive than usual. But you'll be more romantic, and you'll be more creative and imaginative and romantic, and you'll be into poetry and listening to music, or making art or film or something like this, designing some beautiful gown. And then Mars will ingress Aries on the 24th of May in your 6th house. And Mars here is dignified, likes direct and immediate action, can be aggressive, impulsive, but it goes after what it wants. It has courage, it's more assertive, it's brave, it's got energy, it's competitive. But Mars can bring haste, which can lead to accidents and injuries. You will have more energy with this transit, and maybe have a stronger sex drive than previously. But Mars here can also sometimes have us start things we don't finish. So just be aware of that as well. And this can sometimes indicate surgery in some cases, or even of yourself, or maybe something connected to your head, or maybe even a pet. Sometimes this can bring in inflammation or fevers, or burn wounds of some kind. So just be more aware and think before you do. And Mars here can have you working quite hard to get things done. So you're probably delaying pleasure quite willingly to get the necessary responsibilities taken care of. But if in the case that you find yourself in the opposite way of maybe not having anything to do, you can find it's good for you now to keep busy. You need to keep busy at this time, volunteer. This is a great time for service, but most likely you are just very busy at this time with your daily schedule, whether it's work or just your children at home or whatever your daily to-do list covers. But it can be harder to work with others. You want credit for what you do at this time, and you might feel like you're not getting it. Or it can be the other way around, where maybe you're not giving your employees or people that you have under you enough credit for what they do. This can also be a time where you have more conflict with coworkers or those in your immediate environment, as you don't really like group teamwork at this time. You're going to be more wanting to do your own thing. You might be more emotional and a bit more selfish even without realizing it. So it's best to work on projects by yourself if you can at this time. For some, they might just decide, that's it, I'm done, I'm going to quit, I want to work for myself. Or you want to have some kind of change in your career where you can work more independently. You want to be cautious of accidents, muscle injuries. So this is a great transit for starting a new health routine or self-care routine, changing up your schedule, what you eat. It's great for a physical outlet, especially if you are very busy at this time. Do not overdo things or overwork, or because then you are going to manifest this physically. So you want to make sure you have balance in this area. And then Mars will conjunct Jupiter on the 29th of May at 3 degrees of Aries. And this is great for physical energy. This is great for confidence. So you're going to start feeling better physically. There's more confidence here and optimism and joy. Also in the workplace. And it's just important for you to make sure that you are not going to become foolishly overconfident. That could lead you to humiliation of some kind or accidents in some kind. It's important to be cautious in speculation. This is a lucky transit though, so you might experience some blessings of some kind. This is great for muscle training, muscle growth. This can make any physical labor or childbirth labor much easier as well. And then Mars will square Pluto retrograde in Capricorn on the 1st of July at 27 degrees of Aries. And this can bring in power struggles. For some, it can make you really want to get headway at this time. It can bring in a lot of intense energy and even opposition from others that may force you to take a different course of action in order to get done what you've planned. Sometimes loose ends can trip you up with this, so take care of the details and be more cautious. It's important to resist cruelty, ruthless energy, or underhanded actions, shortcuts, or any type of deception. Whether you're on the giving or receiving end of this, anything deceptive will be sort of showing itself in January 2023 when Mars enters Cancer here. And this transit can also sometimes show fighting for something or stopping and giving up on a fight between you and a group or you and an opposition of some kind. But it's important for you to avoid danger or dangerous people, situations, places, anything that's dodgy and that you don't trust. Follow your gut on this. And then Mars will enter Taurus on the 7th, in your 7th house on the 5th of July. And Mars here is in detriment, which makes it a bit slower to initiate or start things, but it boosts practical direction and determination and purposeful action. Mars in Taurus prefers working with money. Your work focus can be more gain driven. You could feel like you want to start something new, maybe a new relationship or a new project in regards to a relationship or a new contract or agreement. This can be a time where you want to work with earth materials. Mars here wants to garden, farm, self-sustain, wants to get independent in its own security. Its sexual drive is more basic and sensual. You may feel like you want to go and get a couples massage with Mars here. There can be attraction to someone with Mars here or new partnerships. Sometimes you can be acting in opposition to your own interest. So just be careful that you keep your boundaries. Sometimes Mars here can indicate loss through law, like lawsuits or an unhappy marriage, conflict with employees, co-workers, servants, trouble with physicians or pets or vets. But in general, there can be more tension in partnerships, whether business or love, as in your spouse, because you can also be more selfish or find it harder to compromise during this time. Not necessarily knowingly, but this is a good time to evaluate relationships. Go for counseling, work on it, work on a project together. It's a great time to weigh the responsibilities, the give and takes, modify things where needed. Avoid needless arguments, but this can also bring in endings or beginnings with relationships, legal affairs. If there is a legal affair, remain fair and compromise if you want to be successful as well. And then Mars will conjunct Uranus and the North Node on the 1st of August at 18 degrees of Taurus. And this is a crisis point activation as well. And Mars here with conjunct to Uranus, can bring sudden upsets, disruptions, surprises, financial loss or gains, volatility. Your plans could have to change. There's energy like bursts here, breaking free from limitation, rebellion. If there's accidents at this time, they're usually self-inflicted due to the energy of this transit. Avoid driving fast or working with machinery or weapons or anything sharp, especially if you're angry. Create a new project rather. This is wonderful for innovation, for creativity, for thinking outside of the box, for getting amazing downloads and breakthroughs in some areas. Work out physically to channel this energy because it's super intense. And you can have unusual, amazing connections at this time also with people, with the divine. But this is a time where you will want to assert your individuality more. And this can really bring in sudden relationship connections or endings. But usually this will be sort of like, bam, there it is. This can also be in regards to business partnerships, letting go of old perspectives here, giving birth to something new and unique. There can be feelings of a lack of energy for some, on the opposite side of this, sort of like a huge energy explosion and then sort of feeling drained. You can be very emotional at this time, and so forth. And let's have a look at the retrogrades for 2022. Now, Mercury will be retrograding from air to earth and from Aquarius to Capricorn, Gemini to Taurus, and Libra to Virgo. Now, of course, we will be dealing with the normal Mercury retrograde topics such as mental activity, anxiety, misunderstandings, transportation and communications is affected, mistakes, lost passwords, loss and damage of electronics. My fridge doesn't work all of a sudden. The pipe just burst. There's an email error. There needs to be a retest done. You got to redo, reevaluate, rethink. You might change your mind. There's reversals, cancellations, people from the past saying hello there. And banking errors, card errors, electricity and internet outages or malfunctioning of your vehicle, mechanical faulting, you dialed the wrong number, you get rerouted in traffic, accidents, and so forth. So it's important to not buy any new electronics. Don't sign contracts you can't change your mind on. And don't start anything new if you can help it, unless this has been something that you've been planning and starting sort of before, and it's sort of just taking off now. But really try and rather review, adjust, fix the details, clean it up, prep and plan, work on the schedule, go over it again, because usually there is something missing. There's a reason you're supposed to slow down and look at it again. So look at it again. Now, Mercury will retrograde from 10 degrees Aquarius to 24 degrees of Capricorn, and this is for 21 days from January 14th till the 4th of February. And during this time, topics can include friends, alliances, groups, politics, co-workers, peoples and organizations, governments, career, and people in general can show you their true colors during this time. Your future goals, markets and supply lines, your social life, freedom and individuality, rights, the collective, can all come up during this time. Radio frequencies, internet issues, electronics, AI, property and career, commitments, hard work, seriousness, sadness, responsibilities, topics including teeth and bones and minerals can also come up here for review. And for you, this will be affecting your 3rd and 4th houses especially. There can be traumatic memories from the past, debt, tax collector, other people's money, shared resources, intimacy, sex, your spouse's income, scandals, issues connected to the dead like inheritances, wills, alimony, child support, friends, your social life, alliances, goals, co-workers, your home and family, groups that you belong to, your parents, your childhood sort of patterns of coping mechanisms that can come up on like a subconscious level, can be triggered here. Your security, your roots, your communication, your writing, mentally, your commute, your neighborhood, your relatives, friends, siblings, your vehicle, the condition of your vehicle, your driving, your internet connection or working online or purchases and trade, your activity in the community, These are all aspects that can be affected through this Mercury retrograde. And of course, this is not always a bad thing. We can see it as hiccups, but I believe everything in life happens for a reason. If you're being stopped in traffic, it's because you are being kept from maybe an accident that you would have been involved with if you were kept to go forward. So always look at it as things happening for you. And then Mercury will retrograde from the 4th degree of Gemini to 26 degrees of Taurus from May 10th to the 3rd of June for 24 days. And here you also want to remember the general Mercury things apply here as well. But you can add as well brutally honest people gossiping, sticking their nose in your business, flights delayed, schedules changing, plans changing. So it's best to rethink things, plan, make lists, double check, stay flexible, proofread, use direct communication, make sure people understood you. There can be more chaos financially in the world in regards to finances, banking, markets, agricultural issues, our values, our skills, our work, how we earn money, our self-worth and confidence. So this is a time where you want to maybe rethink investments or how you earn money or your relationship with spiritual and the material. You may be rethinking or just, staying flexible. Don't put all your eggs in one basket so that you can move with changes if there's sudden turnarounds and events that are shocking or disruptive in any kind. Don't book any flight tickets that's not refundable, and so forth. But this will especially affect you in your 11th, 8th, and 7th houses. So therefore, your friends and alliances, your future hopes and goals, groups you belong to, your co-workers. This can also be legislation and governments. This can be issues in regards to other people's money or shared resources. Maybe this has got to do with a loan for a goal you wanted to achieve or a future dream you had. Or, this can be your spouse's income, shared resources with your spouse or business partner, debt, a will, inheritance, anything to do with traumatic events or a person that has a powerful effect on you or some kind of financial issue. And this can also touch on intimacy and communication, and this can also be connected to death and accidents, and also your 7th house, which is a spouse, a close one-on-one relationship, a business partnership, the public, or an opposition. This can be a lawyer. This can be some person you're having consultations with. This can be just your general one-on-one relationships in love and business. And then Mercury will retrograde at 8 degrees Libra to 24 degrees of Virgo on September 10th till the 2nd of October for 22 days. And this brings an imbalance in things such as grace, charm, diplomacy, collaborations, contracts and agreements, love and business relationships, justice, the law, fairness, harmony, peace, all those things that Libra takes care of, as well as the Virgo topics such as our health care, our health, our mental health, our emotional health, our psychological health. It brings up, did I say employment, work, public health issues, probably COVID issues, all these types of things coming up for review. And this will most likely be affecting you again in your 11th and 8th houses, but then adding also the 12th house, which is the house of endings. This is an area where we let go of things. This can be an area where we have secrets or lovers, or we deal with psychological things. There's this spiritual house is also a house that deals with music and art and escapism and unhealthy habits, self-sabotage, depression, separation, hospitalization, prison, places far away, loneliness, mourning, and so forth. And then Venus will retrograde from 19 December 2021 till the 29th of January 2022. So we start with her conjunct Pluto retrograde. Like I said, this is the Capricorn house in your chart. That will be a focus for many, many people. So this is a house you want to watch. As the nodes will be ruled by Venus and Mars in 2022 as well. And they make connections here with Pluto on the 3rd of March as well in this house. So when Venus retrogrades, issues of love, money, values, beauty, pleasure, sweet things, your self-worth, your confidence, your relationship between the material and spiritual values, your self-worth, how you identify with what you do and what you own, all these things come in for review. We can have unexpected expenses pop up. We can have laziness in this area of our life. We can be more comfort driven. Old relationships can return or issues regarding them. This is not a wonderful time to take a new relationship to the next level, like marriage or engagement. You want to wait until Venus goes not only out of retrograde, but also out of shadow. It's not a great time to make new investments or big investments or big purchases that you could regret, or making beauty procedure changes that you could regret, like cutting your hair or having a facelift and afterwards you look like a cat that's been pulled out of proportion. Don't do it. Don't do it. All of these things. Rather postpone, plan, reevaluate, check, and balance. Check the balance in this area. So with also Venus in Capricorn at this time, we can deal with topics such as a slow love, less emotional love, business love, money for love and love for money, business marriages, mercenary intentions, old money, age differences in love, a love separated, mature love, love occupied, unavailable, restricted or forbidden in some way, love at work. This can also bring in a lot of jealousy, manipulation, obsession, power struggles, and possessiveness. There can be reality checks with love and money here. And there can be the natural thing of maybe even like either cutting love or taking it to a higher level. Supported love, love for security, marriage for security, mourning love gone, power moves in regards to property, banking, money and values. And this can also be a time where you're maybe upgrading your wardrobe, wanting to look more sophisticated or more mature, maturing your style, redecorating your office, or maybe dealing with some kind of beauty topic in business in some way. And this will be affecting you in mostly your 3rd house. So you can also stick your foot in your mouth with this transit, so be aware of that. Don't buy expensive electronics during this time, cars either. There can be topics connected to relatives, neighbors, and friends, your immediate environment, your commute to work. You can feel more lazy mentally in your communications. Maybe you have issues with relatives at this time, or females in general, or with a neighbor or a friend. But you're really asking yourself the big questions here. Will it last? Is this sustainable? Is this valuable? How do I feel about this now? Is this necessary? Can I take this going forward? And where is my boundaries? And then Mars will retrograde on the 30th of October till the 12th of January 2023 for 63 days, from 25 degrees of Gemini to 8 degrees of Gemini. And Mars will also be in mutual reception with Mercury in Scorpio at this time. So you will have your Scorpio and Gemini houses kind of working together in some way. And remember that Mars is our willpower. It's our action, passion planet. It's the doer. It's the planet that says, do it. And Mars, when not direct, especially here as well, it can be a little bit less easy to be assertive. So it's more difficult to be assertive. You can have your energy levels affected. It's best to complete and finish already started projects with Mars like this. Be mindful of anger and frustration and how you channel that. It's better to exercise to get rid of all that intense energy. This is a good time to rather be repairing and redoing and working on things, fixing it, renovating it, and waiting with new ventures. You might have a more sexual, physical drive. You can have more verbal arguments. There's more activity mentally, also physically in your environment, or there's more action in your environment. There's a lot of information and media stuff happening now, technology issues. You can see more accidents, arguments, cities in chaos, transportation issues, car bombs or explosions, car malfunctions, technical issues, mechanical issues, more debates, across the board. And there can be more issues in regards to shoplifting and theft and so forth. But with Mars, we might have more blockages and not get as much done as we'd normally like to. But Mars can be helpful in helping us to slow down and reflect on our desires and rethink and analyze what upsets us and why and where it's coming from in order for us to fix it. Now, this is a great time to take notes on ideas. You may feel that you're rethinking your vehicle or driving or your neighborhood or your communication with relatives somehow. Beware of having a sharp tongue. You may be more irritable because you're very busy and impulsive, and this can lead to injuries. There can be issues regarding pulling muscles, asthma, inflammation, anxiety. The lungs are more sensitive, joint dislocations, and injuries to arms and hands, cuts and bruises and things. You can find that you're studying or restudying or redoing tests or going over work like this, or trouble with what you say, or getting in trouble for what you say, even if you were joking. There can be more gossip and rumors and business schemes at this time. Fighting with our words, freedom of speech and movement can come up at this time. Erotic fantasies and dirty talk. You can feel more curious. And yeah, I think across the board we'll see more fights and opinions in regards to beliefs. This Mars retrograde in Gemini can have a very similar energy as well to a Mercury retrograde. So there will be a lot of similar connections in this case. And for you, this is mainly in your 8th and 1st houses. And so you can have rage issues, power and control issues in regards to business partnerships, shared money with your spouse or with some kind of entity, or debt, loans, taxes, issues with joint resources, funding, and so forth, inheritances, intimacy, deep emotional feelings being triggered. There can be accidents and death with this in some cases. And then we can also be seeing effects in your first house of self, your sense of self, the way that you express yourself, your look. You can maybe, so yes, physically you do need to really watch yourself at this time in order to not put yourself in harm's way and not be too impulsive. Watch your anger. You can also feel like you want to start things at this time, and so forth. So just be more careful all across the board. Now, Jupiter will be retrograde from 28 July till the 23rd of November, from 8 degrees Aries to 28 degrees Pisces for 118 days. And with Jupiter in Aries, there can be new leaders or leadership appearing as well in some cases. And we review things that we want to start or take further or expand. We can be overconfident, over-optimistic, arrogant, and selfish with this transit, even more accident-prone. We can promise things and not deliver. We can make huge mistakes or huge gains and growth. So it's important to stay realistic and to use moderation. Liver issues can be triggered here, so watch your intake. This is also a time where you may be asking yourself, what spiritual lessons can you learn from this? Where can you be less about yourself and more about others? There will be opportunities here to create your own luck. There can be blessings. Watch impulsiveness and anger flare-ups, mechanical issues, fire issues. What is happening that you need to learn from, or who are you learning from, or what are you teaching others? What is your truth? And this, reminding yourself that this is about your personal growth, your truth. Now, with Jupiter in Pisces, we could be reviewing our visions, our ideals, our beliefs. We can be deeply searching. We are more compassionate, with an emphasis on the meaning of life and our innermost authentic selves, our deeper values, morals, and integrity and beliefs. We turn spiritually inwards, and we are much more aware of our connectedness to Source, to each other, to God, and our similarities and oneness as humans, instead of our separativeness and differences. So there can be a focus on physical well-being, investigating different health routines, alternative health avenues. Liver health can come up, overindulgence can come up. So use this time to detox and simplify and really practice self-care. Stay aware and present in your body. This can be a great time to do yoga or some kind of meditative physical technique, like a martial art that combines body, mind, and soul, and makes you more aware of your body and all the connections and things that you need to pay attention to, and bring you down to grounding yourself. Now, you can also experience more fun here, more spiritual growth and epiphanies through this transit, laughter, and realize that spending time with kids, spending time in the sun, getting some vitamin D, being more creative is really good for your soul, and cutting negative things. And there can be more of a spiritual connection with a lover, or you'll want that. And you maybe meet someone that you can learn from, or that's quite different from you, or that's from a foreign place, or speaks a foreign language, or something of this sort. And then Saturn will retrograde from the 4th of June till the 23rd of October. And this is for 141 days, from 25 degrees of Aquarius until the 18th degrees of Aquarius. And during this time, we can be reviewing committed and serious relationships, our reality, life goals, direction, responsibilities, our duties, and rebalance and restructure these areas. How are we manifesting our reality? Saturn, unfortunately, reminds us of the aspects of life we cannot avoid, like rules, responsibilities, length of life, your skin color, taxes, restrictions, commitments, and time itself, limitations physically. The areas that it affects usually requires restructuring, can experience delays, frustrations, sometimes endings, separations, suffering, sadness, depression, just a seriousness in general, or a coldness or a callousness of some kind. You could be experiencing that your family responsibilities are becoming less during this time. You might be horrified by this in some cases. Maybe the kids are growing and leaving the home, or there's maybe an elderly person moving into your home that you're taking care of, or it's an elderly person moving into a home. There can be sadness in the home, or a mourning, or a loss of some kind, or an illness of a parent possibly. There can be allegiances to a group or a political party or friendships that can be tested now. So there could be new ties or cut ties, but there are definitely restructuring here in the house of home, and there can be more serious issues in regards to home at this time. You could even be rethinking property in this case. And the nodal axis, which guides our moon's ecliptic path and determines the eclipse placements, move into fixed sign polarity on the 19th of January 2022, with the north node ruled by Venus in Taurus and the south node ruled by Mars in Scorpio. So this will also affect you quite intensely, with the south node being in Scorpio and the nodes in this axis. And we do realize that this is the financial power and control axis. This is the mine and yours, obsession, power, jealousy, control, manipulation, bullying, stubbornness, agriculture, land, equality, fairness, wounds, values, material values, secrets, abuse of power, sex trafficking, sex scandals, new currencies, financial systems that are new, changing, electronic money, decentralized money, energy, medicine, food, communities, sharing our resources, sharing our skills, boundaries versus freedom. This is the necessary versus the unnecessary. Where can we simplify, become more manageable, let go, recycle, reuse, minimize, detox? What do you really need? Getting rid of clutter, releasing unnecessary structures. This is living your life now and giving it all now, and letting go of fear and uncovering truth, and being done with things that distract you from life. The actual important parts of life. What skills do you have? What can you do with your hands? What can you touch? All of these things are coming up here in the next 18 months. This is a more extreme, stubborn energy. It's more determined. It's an all or nothing, brave energy moving forward. There is, of course, with eclipses being in these houses, eclipses have 6-month effects, but like I always say, that's not set in stone. There's all kinds of things that affect it, but in general, let's say it's about a 6-month thing. It's fated events. The veil is thin during this time. We get catapulted into things that happen collectively, but that also affect us personally. We have fated turnarounds. We have sudden different directions, of course. We have truths revealed, transformations taking place. People come and go. Things end and begin. People come into this dimension and leave through portals during eclipses. Letting go of old toxicity, toxic people, toxicity, poison, anything in your life that has become toxic, becoming more pure in this area, letting go of old wounds and bringing healing, creating our own security, self-sustaining, working on a new earth, organic food, going back to basics, teaching our children how things are made from scratch. These types of things are all going to be more of a focus going forward. Now, for you, these eclipses will be happening the first one will be on the 30th of April, and it'll be a solar eclipse in Taurus in your 7th house. And solar eclipses are about new beginnings, a new leaf being turned, a change, a radical change here, a new seed being planted of intention. And this can be in regards to a new relationship, a new leaf turned in the relationship. Maybe you're renewing your vows, or maybe this is a new person coming into your life, or there's just a new change in the relationship. This can be a business agreement, a business transaction. This can be a lawsuit that starts. This can be a new venture in collaboration with someone else as well. And then there will be a lunar eclipse in the Scorpio first house on the 16th of May for you. And this will affect, and these eclipses will be affecting pretty much your whole life, because these are angular houses that they are affecting. And in the house of Scorpio, this is your sense of self. This is how you express yourself. This is your perspectives. This is how your approach to life. This is your look. This is your sense of self and your authenticity and how the world sees you. So you might have a change in how you see the world. You may have may end a certain look that you've carried for a long time. You're suddenly going to shave your beard, or do some radical change in regards to how you approach life or your life direction, or there can be the ending to a certain path that you've always followed, or it can also end a relationship, or how you see yourself in the relationship, how you participate in it, because this is your me and they axis. This is your relationship, one-on-one relationships being affected here. And then you will have a solar eclipse in this same Scorpio first house on the 25th of October. And also, of course, this affects your physical body, your physical health as well. So this can be a new beginning. This can be if you ended a bad habit physically, or maybe you got rid of a car or something while there was a lunar eclipse in this area. And now maybe you're getting ready for a new vehicle, or maybe you are getting a new health routine, or changing something physically for yourself, or maybe you are beginning a new path in life, starting something new, a new person coming into your life, or a new relationship, or a new way of seeing yourself in the relationship, your sense of self, your boundaries, your independence in relationships can be affected here. And then you will have a lunar eclipse in Taurus again in your 7th house on the 8th of November. So this can be again a completion, a culmination, an ending, some kind of fruition or something coming to a head in the area of relationships. Maybe you are finally getting a divorce, or the lawsuit is ending. There's a settlement. Maybe there is an ending or a culmination in regards to a certain chapter of a relationship, whether it's a love relationship or a business relationship or some kind of agreement or contract that's ending in some way, or a collaboration that's ending, or just your role in the relationship that's changing, or boundaries changing, some aspect of the relationship going through a transformation. Well, Scorpio rising, thank you for allowing me to guide you through the general astrology potentials for 2022. You will be going through many changes and revelations in regards to love, one-on-one relationships, in love and business, in your health and your physical sense of self and how you approach life. And remember that there's always good and bad intermixed in the world, and when the bad comes, it is there for your utmost good at the end of the day. Things are happening for you, not against you. And remember that this too shall pass. If you are to pass through some harder waters this year, remember that that everything now is here for you to grow from and to work towards your highest good. May God bless you and keep you. Also check out my general potentials astrologically for 2022 collectively. I'll put the link below. May the sun shine bright on you this day and year going forward. Until next time.